I don't know about you, but that's a staggering statement to me. I sit back on my heels as the exact place that they should live. The world is not out of control. We may look at the world and it seems all this violence and no leaders and what's going on. The world is not out of God's control. He knows exactly what's going on, and you and I are part of his divine plan, and he places us in the exact place where he wants us. Now, I have been in the Philippines since 1975. What year were you born? I have lived in the Philippines longer than I lived in my own country, the country where I was born. And sometimes I wonder why I wasn't born here if this is where I was going to spend so much time. But I wasn't. I was born there for God's own purposes, but God was carefully directing and guiding, and he knew where I was going. You know, the marvelous thing about God's interaction with us and God's working with us and his personal involvement in our lives is that if we can just get a hold of this, the future, our future, is safe and secure. You know, we can look back on the years of our past, and even before you were born again, God was already at work. Before you came to the intercom, God was already at work, Paul. Carefully guiding and directing, watching over us, even before we knew him. Even before we came to him, God had a plan, and he began carefully. At times he would give protection. At times he would do whatever he needed to do to guide and direct us to the exact place where he wanted to plant us. You know, when I was about 8 or 9 years old, I contracted a deadly disease called spinal meningitis. The doctors would understand spinal meningitis, and it was deadly. I was in elementary school. There was a girl in the school who came down with the same thing that I had. She died, and the doctors fully expected me to die, but God had plans. I was just 8 or 9 years old, but God knew I would be standing tonight on this stage, and he carefully guided. He gives divine protection upon us. Even the marvelous thing is, even before we came to him, he had these plans. He was working and guiding and directing us and bringing us to the exact place. Do you ever ask yourself, why was I born here? Why am I a Filipino? Why am I an Indian? Why am I